Hello and welcome to Prime Debate. Baba Ramdev's call to raise an armed force to deal with the alleged atrocities of the state has evoked a lot of criticism from the central government as well as the Congress party. The question being asked is, can a private individual, particularly someone who has presented himself to the world as a saintly yogi, say and do such a thing? Has the Baba said this in momentary anger, frustration after losing the battle at Ramlila Maidan in Delhi, or to fulfill a hidden agenda not known to us so far? That's what we are going to discuss in Prime Debate today. Baba Ramdev has been on a fast since 4th June to press for the repatriation of black money to the country. The issue is legitimate and has found widespread support among the masses. But why is the Baba proposing to raise an armed force? For his part, he has said that he is advocating this only to strengthen the hands of the nationalists for self-defense and not the terrorists or the Maoists.
Baba Ramdev's plan includes raising a 11,000 strong force to deal with police and anti-social elements attempting to disrupt his anti-corruption campaign. He says that young men will be trained in both Shastra and Shastra.
11,000 युवक और युवतियों की फौज अब यहाँ पतंजलि पीठ में तैयार है और इन 11,000 युवक युवतियों को शास्त्र की भी ट्रेनिंग देंगे और शस्त्र की भी ट्रेनिंग देंगे.
The union government, which ordered his eviction from Ramlila ground, is naturally seeing red. Home Minister P. Chidambaram has described the Baba's move and said the law and order machinery will deal with this prospect appropriately.
I think by making that statement, he has exposed his true colors and true intentions. Let him do so. Let him do so. Let him do so, and the law will deal with that.
Baba Ramdev accepts that the constitution is supreme and he does not believe in any violence. All the more reason why he needs to explain the rationale behind raising such a force.
To discuss this, we have in our studios Colonel Surinder Anand, a retired army officer and a Baba Ramdev supporter, G.S. Aujla, former DGP Punjab, Arshad Khan, spokesperson of the Chandigarh Territorial Congress, and P. Lal, also a former DGP Punjab. Welcome to the discussion. Colonel Anand, I'll start with you. Why do you think Baba Ramdev needs a Sena of his own?
Incidentally, we must understand and appreciate the manner and mode in which this statement has come. Incidentally, what you proceeded with, I have serious objections to that. Firstly, he made this statement after the atrocities committed on our people who were sleeping quietly at Ramlila Maidan after the government had given them permission. One. Two, the atrocities which were committed on them, they were at that time not violating any constitutional, they were not creating any arson, loot or anything. They were sleeping. This is a precursor of British Raj where they at least warned people. Here in this case, people neither were warned nor told anything. They were attacked, evicted and punished.
So this means that when the police takes action or the army takes action under the orders of the superior officers, then a person who is feeling aggrieved, he should have his own Sena to counter that army or the police force. This is very,
Mr. Lal, I have not even broached the subject in which the rationale.
No, just now you have said that.
He has himself explained, you have not played that script in which he has explained why he has said so.
But Colonel Anand, when he says that he is going to train his Sena in weapons, in Shastra, is he not in a way trying to challenge the state and the security forces?
Incidentally not. Let's understand the rationale behind what he has said. He has himself explained. Shastra and Shastra, when he talked up, in our Oriental training or Oriental system, Asiatic system, this exists for the last 5,000 years and more. We were trained in Shastras, Vedic scriptures and others. Plus they were given training. What sort of training?
You don't need an 11,000 force to protect you, do you?
Right.
Whether it is 11,000 or it is 5,000, the point you see for what purpose the training is to be given. If the training is being given for countering the established law forces like the police or the army, taken for granted that the police action that day was unjustified, you see. But what is the way out for people who were doing satyagraha? Should they have? Should they be having their own armed men to repel the police? This is what you see. Rather, I heard Swami Ramdev saying that he needed this force to defend himself, not defend other satyagrahis, but to defend himself. This is what I heard this on the very first day.
I'll just come back to you. Arshad, now in this case, he is evicted out of Delhi by use of force, and then he decides to form a Sena of his own. How do you look at that?
I view the developments pertaining to Baba Ramdev as a theatre of absurd that has oscillated between bizarre and ridiculous, and at often times touching insane and at times uncalled for behavior in between.
I object to such your words.
I think
I'll just come back to
I
it, yes.
think he was evicted for all good reasons, and now frustrated and rankled at this, he is uttering things which are in the nature of inciting and treason.
Let me just take you back to what happened in Delhi. Here are a group of people who are protesting, sitting or in this case sleeping peacefully at the middle of the night, and the force comes in, wakes them up and evicts them. A lot of them are even hurt. Your individual personal rights are violated. What do you do?
Quite to the contrary. When a man requests for a peaceful yoga discourse in which he would want 5,000 of his disciples, and at the same breath engages in backroom deals, and when his bluff is called, there is a lot of
backroom deals. There were two parties to it.
Yes,
Baba Ramdev
yes,
and his followers, and on the other side the government.
I know. The government went to try and assuage him that all that he is raised, while pertinent, there is a method to madness. There has to be a patient process that has to go in.
For his followers not indulging in violence of any kind.
That is so not true. I think at the time when Ram Leela, the government had to force his eviction, there were close to 80,000 people, which was way beyond. And please look at the location of the place Ram Leela. It is very closely located to Chandni Chowk. It's a very sensitive area. There are people of all communities residing there. The government had to take a tacit call. In addition to that, there were intel reports that there was threat to his own life. So his eviction, while justified and very desirable, was very rightful too. But what is more important is for you to see the replays of the television garbs in which there are war cries. Taiyar ho, taiyar ho. Taiyar ho for what? I think here is a man who basically has been handpicked by the Sangh Parivar, he has been backed by them, and the language that he is using is that of militant groups.
Arshad, I think you raise a number of points. Let Colonel Anand quickly react to these.
Firstly, he has used certain language which I must say is objectionable. The government had given a permission. The mayor of Delhi has come and said they had given him permission for 40 days. 1. 2. The government knew there were going to be 1 lakh people. Arrangements had been made for them. 3. They were all peaceful. 4th, when they came there, all were registered. There is only one exit and entry point. They were not violating any government rules, laws at that point of time when the police attacked them. Next, the government used a point because they were not prepared to convince him to do their bidding. Next, the threat to his life which government is saying didn't exist at all. This is the afterthought to put the blame on Baba Ramdev, which is not a...
Anand, I'll just come back to you. Mr. Aujla, in this particular case, perhaps the government decides to evict him for the right or the wrong reasons. And he has reacted by saying that he is going to form his own Sena. What would a person whose rights are violated do?
You're welcome to have pressure groups in a democracy like Anna Hazare had it, you know, or anybody else does a pressure, makes a pressure group to put some sort of a pressure on the government for enacting a legislation or something that is part of a direct democracy participation of the citizen, admitted. But when a lawful assembly is declared unlawful and is dispersed, he's been taken out of there in the interest of law and order or whatever, peace and amity, and he should have accepted it. I personally feel there's a dichotomy in his thinking. On the one hand, he's talking of the Gandhian fasting. On the other hand, he's talking of a very fascist ideology of having armed militants who can resist this kind of police interference. Now, this is an open,
but Mr. Aujla,
this is an open challenge to the Constitution.
You are a very senior police officer. The law does permit you to defend yourself, no?
Yes,
that's what he's saying.
Any lawful assembly can become unlawful. and it is for the judgment of the police officer present there to see that if a lawful assembly has become unlawful, you have the right under the CRPC to disperse that unlawful assembly by whatever minimum use of
Do you
force.
think the assembly was actually, indulging in any kind of violence? Can you call it unlawful?
They had not made
No, what Mr. Aujla is saying
Yes, Mr. Lal.
is
Yes,
purely
Mr.
a
Lal.
legal viewpoint that once the assembly is declared unlawful, then it has to be dispersed. But at that point of time, there was no violence being committed, permission had been granted, people were sleeping, and there was no question of the assembly being declared unlawful, because they were not doing anything unlawful. But the point you see is that supposing the police has declared it unlawful, they can do it, you see, legally. So what the people should do who are protesting there peacefully, they should either disperse in pursuance of the police orders, or as satyagrahi, they should offer themselves for arrest. But they can't raise an army, you see, to repel the state police.
Two of the
force.
ministers, Mr. Lal, Mr. P. Chidambaram and Narayan Swamy, they have said that Baba's activity is anti-national and it warrants action.
I don't.
What kind of action does it
I
warrant?
think it borders
I
on
don't
that.
think that
It
the
borders on
activities
that.
are anti-national.
I will have an army of 11,000 young men and women trained.
Yes.
And he goes on to add that next time in Ram Leela, wherever there is going to be a Ravan Leela, then they will give a befitting reply to the state. This is the kind of
We
noises.
have heard of this rhetoric in Amritsar, you know it.
These are the kind of noises that we are used to
We
hearing from
have
across the
heard
border.
this during the height of Punjab militancy. We've heard this kind of idiom being used for raising militias. We've heard that.
Colonel Anand, Mr. Aujla and Mr. Lal are, I think, speaking from their own experience. Punjab has been through a very violent phase. The experience is that if you create something like this, it actually becomes a Frankenstein's monster. It devours the very
We are
creative.
talking about he is not training, he is training them for self-defense. And self-defense force when attacked, or in this case at Ramlila Maidan, our ladies were attacked. Their clothes were torn by the police. They were never declared unlawful assembly.
Are you indicating that in this case the self-defense would be against the security forces?
Not against
Isn't
the-
that war against the state?
No, it is not. If let's say if I am being attacked, if I have the means and methods, we train our NCC, our people.
No, but Colonel Anand, if the army or the police is attacking you, you can take redressal somewhere else. You can move courts. You can appeal against all that.
You can't
But you can't be. You're not expected to confront them with
no, I'm
force.
not. At least you can defend your, let's say, your mother, your sister, your wife. The people were pulled out of bathroom.
Against whom are you
You have to defend yourself. Am I not entitled to my
Mr.
defense?
Aujla is saying against whom? Against the state.
No. Firstly, in this case, the assembly was not declared unlawful. They never allowed them time. They never allowed it to them. They were only peacefully sleeping. The assembly was never declared unlawful. One. Two, if they were not declared unlawful, how it became unlawful suddenly? While sleeping, will a person become unlawful? They were not unlawful at
The
all.
permission was withdrawn, and by virtue of
Firstly,
that, the
yes,
assembly had
nobody
become
had
unlawful.
permission.
Becomes unlawful.
Who told them? It was not even served to the people. Was it announced in the address system,
must have
public
been,
address
you see,
system?
we are
It
not
was
very
not
sure on
done.
that.
All I've seen it live on the
I think we are
media.
raising a host of issues. We'll just come back to these. Here we'll stop for a short break. When we return, we'll look at the constitutional validity of Baba Ramdev's intention to raise a private Sena for his self-defense.